rain. That even the ducks wouldn't come out in weather like this. But me, I'm an idiot. Well, this is great. Rain, rain, rain. That even the ducks wouldn't come out in weather like this. But me, I'm an idiot.
Okay, guys, the Baron, Justin, Dr. Firefly, whatever you'd like to call me. Here we are. Everything's good to go, I believe. Make sure everything's set up. Sorry running late. Had a bunch of stuff to do today. But that's life. Let's go out and feed the chickens. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Me, I absolutely am. Like always. Sorry about the off and on. I clicked the wrong button a couple times and needed to make sure that I got this broadcasting everywhere that I wanted to broadcast out to. So we're good to go. Important news. I just saw that Crow 777, I think it's Crow 777 Radio, is now here on DLive. So make sure you go and check out his channel. I'll probably mention it again. I haven't added it into the little text bar that we can text and make it pop up or anything yet, but that is I may do that in the very near future. So it's another rainy day, super rainy, crazy rainy. So yeah, so we're gonna go out here and right now we're heading up so I can get the feed out of my car. So that's where we're headed. So today I think we're going to mostly talk about homesteading animals. Bees, bunnies, chickens, ducks, pigs, all the fun animals that you want to have when you're homesteading. Personally, there's a lot of awesome animals that you want to have homesteading, but you need to be realistic with what you can handle and what to start off with. So this is going to be good questions that people can ask. I'm kind of having this set up, so if you've got some questions, you can ask me the questions. I'll tell you what my opinion is. I would say do things a little different than what I did. I picked up, I got chickens and ducks first, and then I got a pig, and I would have done things differently, but that is just the way that life has, that life threw me the animals, so that's why I have what I have. And you know, and when life does throw you a variety of animals your way, I do suggest getting the ones that, you know, definitely taking care of the ones, and that's funny. I like the Justin Sun face there, dude. Pretty awesome. Anyways, yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm a little absent-minded right now because I'm trying to figure out, I need to get the ducks over here so I can actually walk through and get them to actually come over here and eat, because that's the biggest issue I'm having right now, is getting them to go where I want them to go. I give Sylvia just a small little snack at the particular moment so she knows I didn't forget about her. And then we're going to head back on. You guys want to see what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with. I have to walk through this back and forth. Right now, they're not too exceptionally excited. Well, he is excited. He really likes the oats there. It's one of the bunnies hanging out. So, guys, we're not going out the gate. We're going back in. Ah, silly ducks. Every day, it's silly ducks. Silly, silly ducks. That kind of worked. You need enough time to be able to swing over. You know what? I'll leave the stuff in the car for now. I'll get the, since the chaos is occurring outside because these guys are hungry. Let's go in the barn. Let's go in the chicken barn first because the only bag I need to bring into the chicken barn is the bird seed that I pick up. So for those that are wondering, I do mix my own feed from when I go and buy it at the feed store. So I have about 3 different things that I mix together depending on who I'm feeding. And I've learned that seems to work the very best. So let me get this set up and good to go, so we can get everybody fed and we can start on our little fun adventure. So then we can really get into having good conversations about stuff. So, like I said, today we're going to talk mostly about what animals to get when it comes to homesteading, why I'm suggesting these particular animals, and even if you're doing homesteading or urban homesteading in the inner city, how some of these animals might actually work really well for you. Hey, Duck Duck. So I'm going to give this out to these guys outside. I'm going to go carry a bag of feed in. So you guys just look at the chickens for just a second. And I will be back in like 15 seconds because that's what it pretty much takes me to go out there and come back in. You guys get to watch those chickens while I'm doing this. My Bluetooth cut out, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Okay, now my Bluetooth's back on. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Had to run out there, get some feed. And now we're back. So why the animals that I chose to get, and why, depending on where you live, are you going to want particular types of animals? So first and foremost, regardless of where you're homesteading, my first advice is to make sure that you get honeybees. Honeybees, while they do feel like they're fairly expensive, they are one of the best animals to get for homesteading purposes. And the reason behind that is because they're going to enhance a lot of your other plants, and they're going to do a lot of benefit on your farm, and they're also going to do a lot of benefiting to all of the local plants and such around you. So you might say, well, you know what? I'm living in the inner city. I'm going to do some urban farming. Why do I need honeybees? Well, there's going to be enough plants and enough flowering things where you live that's not only going to keep those honeybees super happy and super healthy, but it's also going to help out with the small amounts of yields that you currently have. So I think the inner city is actually a really great place to start off with honeybees until you can get away. The other great thing is if you start off in the inner city and then you ultimately move to the country, you can bring your bees with you. I'm looking for a razor knife right now because they absolutely ripped through what I was trying to do, so it makes it easier if I get the razor knife now to fix what I need to fix. But I don't see it in my box of tricks. So always have a backup idea, always a backup plan, a backup idea, and so we're gonna go. This is my backup plan. This sharp edge will actually cut the edge of the bag fairly nicely. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, bees. I'd suggest getting online, following a couple bee classes. There's some really easy, there's some really good free bee classes. If you're super interested, I'll put the links up in Discord in the very near future, so you guys can follow, so you guys can see the, you guys can link to the bee classes that I think are good for online. Now, if you can find some bee classes in your local community, I would totally say do some of those bee classes in your local community. Just because those, when you're doing it locally, they know more of the downsides, and you can also talk with somebody that's been keeping in your particular area to know, like, when's a good time for worrying about swarming, when is the time that the best opportunity for their food and that kind of stuff, where taking a class online isn't necessarily going to teach you all of that. It still might, but that's my advice on why I would take a local bee class. There's also a lot of stuff you're going to learn from a bee class. I'll also be honest, there's a bunch of stuff that you're not going to learn from a bee class. Getting in there and getting into the bees yourself and playing around with them and learning them firsthand and how that particular colony interacts with each other and interacts with your environment is really what's going to teach you the most. If you're wondering what's happening here, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get all of the feed to come out of this bag through this this duck hole that was made. So right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit, guys, and I'm going to put this bag over here and let all the guys peck at it and figure out what is the best way to get this feed out, so I can have a little bit of space to move around, because that's the issue I'm having right now. Is there's so many guys running around saying hi, trying to figure out where they want some food, that I don't have a lot of extra space. So the next, after bees, I would highly suggest, I would say bunnies are the next best, because even if you live in the urban setting or in the inner city, you can easily raise bunnies. And bunnies have so many uses. They can be used to you can use bunnies to eat. You can use bunnies to for fur. You can use them for their fertilizer. And their fertilizer would be their poop. And you can also use them for selling, because who doesn't want a cute little fluffy bunny as a pet? And they make good pets. They're really easy to take care of. They're actually really easy to take care of. Not a lot of stress, not a lot of drama with a bunny. If you have other animals, it's a good idea to slowly introduce those other animals into the mix. But in general, most animals, dogs and cats, they don't have too much of an issue with bunnies. I actually thought that cats would have a bigger issue, but in all of my experiences with bringing the bunnies inside and having them in cages and having them interact with the cats and such, no, not at all. They seem to be doing, they seem to do very well together. But I think it's also because cats are actually really intelligent, and I think that plays a really big role in all of that as well. Next, I would say is Muscovy Duck. Actually, next it was a tough call between chickens or Muscovy Ducks. That's going to have a lot more depending on where you live. Personally, I think they're fairly equal if you live in the country, because they're both they both have very strong benefits. Having one or the other. Guys, stop knocking down my food. As you guys, those that follow the channel a lot, know that we're in the total chaos of all of the bunnies right in your face. So, or sorry, all of the ducks' butts and such right there in your face. Lots of duck butts. Now, after you get those animals, ducks, chickens, guineas, you know, the smaller stuff like that, that's when you can start thinking about your larger animals and what the purpose of having your larger animals is. Are you breeding? Are you selling young? Are you doing it for the meat purposes? Are you doing it for the companionship? That would be horses. Utilitarian and the things. Or are you doing it for something else? Like goats are really good for milk. Sheep are really good for wool. Pigs are good for meat or for protection. And what I mean by protection, pigs are really good at protecting your farm from other animals. Especially if you put the pigs on like around an area so they can get in there and do some patrolling and such. That's where pigs as a protection animal shine. If they can walk around and really protect your farm. Now you can't let a pig free range very easily. I mean, I know people do, but they'll tear up a lot of garden areas, and they'll be pretty destructive. So I'm not saying, you know, they can't be like a guardian dog or anything of that sort. But they're also fairly fun to add to the farm, because they're also really good at tilling up. Save you money on having to get a rototiller, because they're really good at tilling up the soil and de-seeding it and just getting you down to nice base soil to start your adventure on. So that's pretty much where I would start with the animals and such when it comes to the homesteading. If anybody has any specific questions, we can definitely address those more. Again, I'm just doing a very baseline. We can, one day, if anybody's super interested, we'll really get into each individual animal, why the importance of each individual animal, how they coexist, how they function on the farm, the feed requirements, the space requirements, because those are all important things that you need to talk about with the animals. But when you're just simply starting off and you're just starting to work on your list, that is those are the animals in the basic form on how I suggest people starting off, and what I suggest as the basic beginner animals. Sorry I can't see the chat right now. Everybody's a little mad that I'm running late, because they've got their own little, all the chickens and ducks and such, it doesn't realize it, but they have their own little watches, and they definitely have times that they plan on doing what they need to do. And so with me running late today, they're kind of angry and running around like crazy trying to figure out why I'm running late. Because the sun is setting, and they want to know where their food is. Also, slight little subject change here. Let's talk a minute or so about the Wu flu. The Wu Cheng Virus is what I call it. And how it's anything new. So we're definitely seeing a day after day after day, we're seeing the largest, more and more people dying. I've heard some interesting things about people that they say they're cured. And when they say they're cured, it's kind of like they're not sick anymore, so they send them home. And since they didn't die, they call that cured. So that is that's a little concerning to me. I did see that because they were worried about the stock market crashing and some other stuff and worrying about businesses, Foxconn did say that they're going to do some very small scale manufacturing. So that's a very interesting sign. We'll see what that actually means, because I don't know what that means just yet. I think they said something like they were going to start doing 10% of business, or bring back 10% of the employees. Last I heard, we were still going to have quite a few ports shut down in China. And that'll directly affect us in a couple weeks. Probably closer to like 2 months from now, we should start seeing the effects. We should start seeing the effects of the ports being shut down, even if they're only shut down for a few short days. Now, the upside of that is that there'll be some entrepreneur businesses that realize that and can take advantage of that and make some really good local products. So, as horrible as it sounds, this downturn can actually be beneficial to the world economy, just not necessarily beneficial to China's economy. I see one more guys that need to be fed. Working on them next. Got these guys right over here that says telling me that they are super hungry today. Again, starting. Well, I did a little bit today, and I'll be doing it in the next couple weeks because I'm slowly going to start adding. So my goal is to not go in debt to prep, because I think going in debt when you prep just makes you feel more nervous about prepping. And so I'm making some strong decisions. There'll be some food stuff that I'll be adding to my mix. I've already been pricing rice and beans in large bulks to be adding, making sure it's rice and beans that I would normally eat in the first place. So I've been researching that, trying to find the best prices for large bulk items. I've got some containers ready to go for them to go in. But the idea is to just start using those as regular meals and start cycling those meals and such through. We're gonna head on over to the bunny barn now because it's time to go feed the bunnies. Actually, I think we're gonna feed Sylvia first, and then we'll feed the bunnies after we feed Sylvia. So there's a lot of that I'm definitely preparing for and planning for. I'm still probably not going to buy any bulk water, just because, as we know, if you followed me long enough, you know that I've got all these extra water sources around. And I'm not concerned about any of those water sources being contaminated or any of those water sources providing any major issues. So I'm probably not going to get any additional water. That being said, my friends that live in more of in more of city settings, I am suggesting that it may be a good idea for them to add more to their water supply. If you don't have a good water filtration system, I think it might be a good idea to start buying up some more bottled water and such, so that you're comfortable with knowing that if something does happen and there is an issue where they can't provide the water for some reason, or you're going to be you need to travel a distance and you have to have access to water. I do think it's probably a good idea to make sure that you have some extra water sitting around. And again, it's not like water's going to go bad. You can just regularly use it. That's the other thing with whatever supplies that you're going to prep with. It's a good idea to just put those in regular rotation and be using them, and not just throwing them up in storage, but actually be using them on a fairly regular basis. It seems like we talk about this a lot, but I think it's also important to mention this. The other thing is even with your prepping and getting in this habit of prepping, I think it's good because we all know that just because this event may not affect you as hardcore as others, there's still plenty of other events that can possibly come and affect you. So, there's hurricanes and there's tornadoes and fires and earthquakes and all that kind of stuff. So having that prepped in place. Now, to relate this back to the homesteading and the farming, it's also important, if you're going to raise all these animals and you're going to also be doing this prep and such, to make sure that you're also having the extra food and all the stuff for the animals. Because while you're nice and fed and not hungry, you don't want your animals to be super hungry because you can't go to the store anymore and buy the particular food or particular product that you're used to getting them, because, well, one, you don't want to go into town, or two, maybe there's a shortage at your local place. Now, most of the time, depending on where you live, you're probably not going to see a very large... Hey, Mark Boggs, thank you for the ice cream. Most of the time, you're probably not going to see a very large shortage in your food, especially if you live someplace near the Midwest, or you live someplace where there's a lot of farming, because a lot of your food and such is actually going to be grown locally, and your feed, even buying your feed at the feed stores and such. Now, I do suggest going to a smaller feed store. Personally, I only go to the chains if I absolutely have to. And the reason for that is just because if I go to my local feed place, I can ask them all the questions that I need to ask them about the feed. Where does the feed come from? Who provides it? Is it organic? Is it covered with petrochemicals? Things of that sort. And then I can get the brands and I can get the names, and I can be trusted that I know where my feed comes from. So, because personally, I like to know the food that I'm feeding my animals, even though I'm not eating my animals, the food that I'm giving my animals, I want to make sure it's as high quality and best for them as possible. So, I bought 2 extra bags this week, and I will be buying a few more extra bags next week until I can feel comfortable about having almost a 2-month buildup. Yeah, some of the animals I do a fodder with. It kind of depends on the situation, and it depends on the animals and such. I have plenty of hay left over for that. I have saved up other materials and other types of foods throughout the course of the year. So yeah, and there's a lot of times, like especially with the bunnies and the chickens and such. Like sometimes when I do some mowing, I'll save up the clippings and such. If I'm not using it for compost and such, I will give it to the chickens, and especially because my yard is mostly not grass anymore. It's a lot of other pasture and such like that. That's weird. It's a lot of other pasture and such like that. So what just happened? Okay. For some reason, the camera just went black for a second, so I don't know if you guys saw it. I saw it on my end. So yeah, I do stuff like that, and it does a good job of getting them through some of the tough times. More in the spring months, I try to focus more on making a local feed, growing a lot of the plants and such that I can feed my rabbits and I can feed my bunnies. Sorry, feed my rabbits, feed my chickens, feed my ducks, of stuff that's growing here on the farm. But during these winter months and such, after breaking down the cost effectiveness and with the relationship I have with the feed place and how I trust where the feed comes from, for me and the balance, it's cheaper and more effective for me to buy a little bit of feed during these particular parts of the year and supplement their feed that way than to focus solely on growing my own. Now, if you happen to live in an area where you don't necessarily have a harsh winter or you can grow more times of the year, then I would definitely suggest going that route. And there's a whole big variety of stuff that you can grow. A lot of times there's a lot of wild stuff that you can grow in your yard and you can grow in your homestead that you can feed to your animals. You know, with chickens, one of the things is the chickens are actually one of the easiest to switch over. So this might sound like a gross tactic, but what you can do, hey everyone, um, hey Fiddle Bear, this might sound like a gross tactic, but this is actually a decent tactic that you can try in a lot of scenarios. Is that you can, if you have a dead animal or something, you can put the dead animal in a bucket, poke some holes in the bottom of the bucket, put another bucket up top, and you'll ultimately get some like larvae. You'll get some different types of maggots and such, which will work their way into eating that. The maggots will drop out, and you'll be able to feed. You'll be able to feed that kind of stuff. That's a tactic. I mean, mealworms are really easy. Mealworms and crickets are both really easy to grow on your own. That's a good supplemental food for chickens. I do a lot of local foods too. Like a lot of the local plants will produce different types of seeds and nuts, and so I'll give them a lot of that as well, and that does a good offset. So the feed I give my chickens is a mix between a laying pellet that I buy at the store and then the economical bird seed. The reason I mix the two of those together is there's a lot of benefits in seeds and being able to get the roughage of the seeds for the chickens. And it also gets them used to, so during the months when I'm growing a lot of the seeds and I'm growing a lot of the stuff myself, that is they get used to eating that kind of stuff as well. And then because the larger animals that I have, my ducks and my free range chickens, they also get the free range all year round. So they get the benefit of all of that free ranging and such like that. So I'm gonna walk out here and grab another bag. So I'll be back in just 1 second. And should not, hopefully does not affect um, the video or anything. So with my pig, I also buy food, but she gets most of the table scraps. So I don't really compost any foodstuffs anymore. Actually, I try not to actually compost any foodstuffs anymore because being able to give the human grade food that we're done eating to my animals seems to have a lot more benefit. I save a lot more money that way, and I don't have waste, which is definitely a huge plus. Is not having so much house waste. So that's part of the reason I go that route. So let me get a scoop of this. Let me give it out to Sylvia, and then we'll come in here. And I don't know if I have enough water to get everybody watered yet, but we'll see. Yes, yes, Dan, I will absolutely do that. That is a good. So what Dan asked is Dan asked me if I could repeat questions that pop up on the screen. And Dan is correct. Repeating what pops up on the screen is a very good habit I need to get more into and treat this more as also a podcast. So thank you for that request, Dan. I will do my best to, when I see something written, I will do my best to say it again, and so we all know what the question is. Because I know that's the truth is I know that there's times that I might look away or I might be working on something else and just listening, and so that's a very good. Thank you very very much, man, for pointing that out. And guys, anybody, if there's anything that you would like me to do or any requests of that sort, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm just trying to improve this for everyone, and so all tips are highly appreciated. So. I wanted to point out the guys because I see there's a handful of more people in my room right now. I wanted to point out that I just saw today that Crow 777, it's a Crow 777 radio. He has just joined the D Live. So if you've listened to any of my podcasts or you've watched any of the streams during the day or even during the evening, I usually have a show or one of their older shows and such on. So I'm kind of excited to see that they're now here on D Live, and we'll see where that ultimately goes because I think it could be a really good thing. So again, that's Crow 777. Here on D Live. I do not have a quick tidy link set up for it yet because I just found out, like, just a little bit before I came out here to do this, I just found out that he had a D Live channel up here. So I will be adding that. Adding that onto the link. And for those that are interested, some of my favorite people, you can do !Jew, !UMI, !LTV, !Titus, and !Hoax. Those are some of my favorite. Those are some of the guys that I listen to on a fairly regular basis on here. And I know I ran through that pretty fast, but a lot of you probably know most of those people. And if you ever want any more suggestions on folks, just hit me up on here, and I can point you to some of my favorite people that I follow, and some of the people that are spectacularly awesome, giving you good information, or just fun to hang out with. Because sometimes it's just fun to just hang out with a bunch of people that have like-minded ideas. That's a good time. I'm trying to get everything prepped today because, as you guys, if you guys have followed this before, you know tomorrow that I'll be venturing on to Asheville to go pick up Lisa, who's down in Yes, thank you, Dan. He posted the link there. Yeah, I'll be heading down to North Carolina, or actually be heading to South Carolina because I have to go down to wherever, Greenville, pick her up in Greenville, and then we'll be coming through North Carolina, through Asheville and such. So I'll be gone most of the day. I will be doing some, probably during the drive a little bit. I'll be doing a show off and on, but you'll have to check that one out at my other channel, which is Out the Window Weather, because I need this channel to stay up because I'll tell you guys a little secret. This is how I actually watch my farm when I'm away from the house. Also, I'd like a request for any of you out there. If you're watching the stream and you see something really crazy happen, like it doesn't look like it should be happening, like the pig's out tearing down a fence, or there's, I don't know, meteors crashing into my backyard, or something absolutely crazy chaos happening that doesn't look like the typical normal chaos, if you send me a message or hit me up on Discord and let me know that something crazy is happening on the farm while I'm out and about, that would be spectacular. I would be super helpful for you guys to help me keep an eye on my farm while I'm gone for the day, because normally me and Lisa are both not gone at the same time. That's usually a goal that we try not to do. And without overstressing my parents or anything like that, while they can handle most scenarios, it's if I get a heads up or anything, that definitely makes things easier. So if anything like that happens in the stream as you guys pop in and such like that, just let me know. I'm also going to be doing the same thing. But yeah, the stream, that's my main reason I have the stream that broadcasts the videos 24/7 is a lot for my purposes, so I know what's going on my farm if I'm out and about. And I highly suggest anybody else, if you're going to do homesteading, you're going to do farming or anything like that, because we live in a technical era, I do say that it's super, super useful to have a camera in your barn so you can see what's happening with your chickens. You can see what's happening with your ducks. The other perk of that is if something gets in there and kills them or something gets in there, you can have a good idea of how they possibly snuck in because you'll have the footage. You'll have the footage that you can see on your camera. The other perk is you can also keep the camera up, and if you put in a night vision, I'll come back to this in a minute. You can do hold on. You can come in and you can do the night vision, and you can see like if there's any predators or anything that's coming onto your farm. That's another very, very useful, also very useful and such like that. So I suggest might as well just digitizing and videoing your farm. Now, if you don't, now it's your choice to put it up live if you want everyone to be able to access it. But I at least say that you should have a couple cameras set up for yourself so that you know where the deer and such are. So okay, let's go get some water because it's water time. I don't really have any in here right now, and everybody is a little thirsty. So we're gonna go get us a jug of water. So yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of prep work that needs to get done before, even though I'm only going to be gone for a couple hours, I'm probably going to get up at 6, get everybody fed, which will confuse the heck out of everybody that they're getting fed so early. But it's about a 4-hour trip down, so it'll be about an 8-hour drive. That's if we don't stop anywhere. I'm still not sure if we are or not. Yeah, still not sure if we're going to do that or not. But that'll be something that I decide in the very near future. I'm not sure. The Bluetooth acts up for a second. So let me get this water in place and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, so when it comes to me being gone for a day or so, or I mean a couple hours even, there's a lot of stuff like I need to make sure that I've got all the things set up for the animals so that they have all the food they want, make sure they've got plenty of water, address their thing in the future, address their thing in the morning, making sure like with Sylvia, I have to go through and I'll address the electric fence. Now, of course, I'm going to do this tonight, and I'll probably do some of it in the morning because I'll probably get up real early and get all this done in the morning. And then all the inside animals I've got to deal with because I got the parakeets and the fish and my cat, and just make sure that they're all good to go and everything's hunky-dory. Everything hunky-dory with that as well. So So yeah, that's you know, it's one of those things. It's funny. It's a chore to leave the house, and that might sound silly to a lot of folks that are used to just getting in their car and going, because that used to be me. I used to be able to just jump in my car and take off because I used to have enough of everything I needed in my car. So it was something I never really thought too much about. But now homesteading and farming and having animals and such, it's a lot of prep work ahead of time. Hence the reason in the near future why I'm really wanting to add an intern to my mix, because being able to have an intern here, someone that I can trust for the days that I need to be away or the days that I'm not going to be here for all of the important steps that need to take every day, having an intern would definitely, a farmhand intern, definitely make things a little easier. That's something to look forward to in the very near future that I will be adding to the mix. Ah. Okay, guys, I'm going to head back to the house. I know that I need to give everybody some water. I need to, I got Sylvia her food. I need to take that other thing, but I'm cutting this one a little short today just because I was out and about and my phone life is running low. And so I know that it won't be long before my phone decides to die on me. So I don't want that to be an issue. So again, like I said, tomorrow, if you guys are interested, if you visit my other channel, Out the Window Weather, here on D Live, that's the one that I'll be doing my live updates. Like I'll probably chit chat with you guys as we're on the road, because I got a nice mount for this in my car, and so we can chat. So we can chat a little bit then. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. We didn't do bunny watch today, so let me go back out and make sure that we look at the bunny for bunny watch, because I know that I was slacking at making sure everybody could see the bunny. So we're going to walk back out real fast and check out the bunny. Yeah, Sea Monkey, we're pretty much wrapping it up today, unless you've got some particular in-depth questions, and I will be more than happy to chit-chat with you about those questions. But we're heading back to do bunny watch real fast, because I can't forget bunny watch. Who doesn't want to check out cute baby bunnies every day? But yes, tomorrow I'll be on the road. I'll pop it up on my other channel. We'll chit chat about a variety of stuff as the way down. You know, shoot the shit a little bit, seeing what's going on. But let me grab the bunny so we can do bunny watch, because you know, it's the best part of the day. Plus I like, you know, checking on the baby bunnies and talking with them and handling them. Here we are at bunny watch. Here's the bunny. Nice little baby bunny with his Hitler mustache, with her Hitler mustache. Hail, bunny! I should probably not do that. I'll probably get arrested in Europe or something. But, yep, little cute bunny. Hop, hop, hop. He's eyeing you. Dun, dun, dun. Ugh, bunny is in there. Locking this bad boy back up. Yes, that is one of the baby bunnies that I rescued. I moved them into this barn because they kept busting out. They kept busting out of the other barn, and they kept busting out of their spot. So now they're in a better cage, so that they can't be escape artists and get out. So bunny zig hail. Yes, totally worth bunny. Totally worth jail time. Yeah. I mean, not that I have to worry so much about here in West Virginia. I don't think that a zig hail bunny would get me in a whole lot of trouble. I think it would just get people to laugh and think that I'm absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, sea monkey. They get big really, really fast. Once they hit their growth spurt, it's really surprising. Like that guy probably or that girl probably in about I would say less than a week, she would be ready to be rehomed if someone wanted to have her home. Yeah, it was. Yeah, about a month ago they were really small. It is insane. Like I'll next time I find some pinkies born, I'll do a time lapse. We'll take pictures and I'll show everybody from when they're just from the day they're born, and we'll do a bunny watch every day so you guys can see how absolutely fast they grow because it's really remarkable how quickly they go from being like a little pinky to being able to a little self-sufficient little bunny. So it's pretty amazing and really cool. And a really cool lesson and a really cool lesson and really good thing to learn. I think it's just a good personally I think raising animals and having animals and such is just a really good lesson for everyone. If you've never had an animal or you've never raised one from really young, I think it's a good idea to do at least once or twice so that you guys can see what it's like. Okay, friends, like I said, phone's getting ready to cut out, so it was wonderful chit-chatting with you guys today. I will chit-chat with you again. Again, out the window weather. If you want to follow me tomorrow on my adventures, other than that, the regular scheduled programming will be back on Wednesday. We'll be feeding the chickens again on Wednesday. So yeah. Anyways, friends, it's the Baron, Dr. Firefly, or Justin, whatever you'd like to call me. You guys have yourself a wonderful rest of the day, and until tomorrow, adios.